Stern wouldn't talk to you about this, but he's...
Yeah.
Is he playing games here? He's had some really nasty things to say about his relationship with Sirius.
Well, this is sort of classic Stern. I mean, he typically lets these decisions go down all the way to the deadline. And in the meantime, he likes to kind of have the drama play out on his show. So, yeah, he's dropped some hints. He's criticized management at times. Other times he's complimented the current management. And he's also said, you know, he just hasn't made up his mind.
Tuna, let me bring you in here. So there are estimates out there that Stearns brings $200 million or so in revenue to Sirius, but this is a company that's doing $4 billion in revenue or so. So, you know, can they survive without Howard Stern?
Well, that's the question that we always ask. You know, the company has about 27 million subscribers. We've done a lot of, soul searching to try to figure out how many of these subscribers actually, would, bolt if Howard Stern were to leave. And frankly, I think it's very, very difficult to know. But it's safe to say that there's a fair amount of subscribers out there, probably in the millions, that would be impacted if this contract is not renewed. Having said that, I think Sirius itself is in a much better position from a content perspective than it was in 2010 when this contract came up the last time. On the flip side, Howard Stern himself has a whole lot more options out there where he could take his trade. So it remains to be seen. But I do know there's a price that the company could very well walk away from.
Yeah, although, Tuna, in terms of subscriber additions, I mean, this business just absolutely took off, both from a revenue standpoint and the number of subscribers. Duh, more subscribers who are paying means more revenue. It took off when Howard Stern joined this business. I mean, he really made this Sirius business a real viable entity, no?
Yes, he did. But I think what has also happened is a very significant number of these subscribers, when they joined the Sirius platform, went on to discover quite other content that the company offers. So right now it's very debatable whether those same subscribers would leave if Howard Stern, but there's no question that he's a big pull. I do believe that, there's a very good chance, frankly, that the company may not renew the contract. The company spends about $300 million per year on programming and content expenses. And while that pales in comparison to what a company like Netflix spends, it's still fairly significant because Howard Stern himself accounts for a very significant portion of that.
Felix, is an interesting sort of big philosophical debate this raises, too, and Howard Stern puts it very well in your article when you're quoting something he said on the air.
Yeah.
But he said, the notion that that it's not technology, it's stupid, it's a waste of time. If you want to be in radio, forget podcasts. Podcasts are for losers. Is that is going to a podcast, is going to Apple something that he should take seriously? No one has deeper pockets.
Yeah, there's so many different options, really, for him at this point. Apple, they introduced their CarPlay product last year, where you can basically use your smartphone in your car to take over your car dashboard. And, I can imagine Google making a play for him with the new YouTube subscription service, but also late-night television, premium television like HBO. He could do a direct-to-consumer product over the Internet. There's so many different options for him. In the end, though, he also, has said he's going to consider staying with SiriusXM. And one thing to think about is, he has worked really hard and to be a part of SiriusXM's growth. And he's now in a position to enjoy that. And his show, from some perspective, is doing really well in the sense that he is now getting the kind of guests, A-list celebrities and guests that he would never have gotten 5 or 10 years ago. I mean, he has Madonna on his show today. He might want to stick around and enjoy what he's built.
Well, let's break this down. Let's get real about this. I mean, CarPlay is interesting, but it's only in a handful of cars. I think Apple this week said it was going to be in about 64 cars, I think, next year.
Yeah.
Estimates in your story put it at 3 million cars only.
Yeah, by 2017.
So maybe it's a lost leader for Apple. But Tuna, does he have to go to a place where the company would make money, or is it enough that he could be a lost leader for that company to drive, a Pandora to drive adoption of their service?
Well, either way, it's going to be a risky play for a company to bring him on anywhere close to what he's being paid, at Sirius today, whether as a loss leader or not. But, I think you also have to look at how the business has evolved over the last decade since this relationship started. Sirius is, I think, from an economic analysis perspective, in much better position. They've been able to, manage a price hike without any significant subscriber defections. The automobile growth is back to almost the old normal levels. When they first got Howard, they were spending north of $200 in subscriber acquisition cost per gross ad. Today, that number is down to 30. You can look at a number of metrics, and you can calculate that if they were to kind of save the amount of money they're paying Howard, granted they're going to lose subscribers potentially in the millions, but I think it's easier today to justify kind of where that threshold would be for the company to walk away. So as an analyst, I have to look at that and be very wary of the company overpaying.
Well, and one also wonders, though, if technology matters. Howard had this great quote, Felix, which you used in your piece, where he says, never think of me as a disc jockey. Talent is what drives this world. He's being dismissive of technology. He's saying there's no Sirius without talent. Doesn't matter how many satellites you stick in the air.
Right.
I'm not going to get bleeped out of my show here today. But, it really comes down to that, right? Is it talent driving the show here, or is it technology enabling that?
I think, part of it is definitely the talent. And, Jim Meyer, the CEO of SiriusXM, who I sat down with, says he really wants to keep Howard, and, of course, at the right price. But, he's working hard to keep his talent happy. He allowed Howard to move the start of the show back to 7 a.m. in January. They threw an incredibly lavish party for him last year at the Hammerstein Ballroom, where everyone came out and sort of paid homage to him and what a great comedian he was. So it's, part of it is keeping Howard happy. I think he cares less about the technology. They do have mobile apps now, so you can, listen to his show on your smartphone. You can listen to it on demand. You don't have to be in your car to listen to the show, and I think he appreciates that. But yeah, ultimately, I think from his perspective, it's about, he feels like he can take his audience, they'll follow him wherever he goes.
Well, I have to say,
that already. Yes.
The one
we got it. Real quick, Tuna.
Okay, the used car market we haven't talked about at all. The company's barely scratching the surface there. That's one area I think they're going to really need him and probably go all the way out to try to keep him.